Western societies, like ours in the US, typically define progress from an economic standpoint. We measure progress with GDP and consider any economic growth to be a success. We value skyscrapers, iconic buildings, and artificial land developments, and consider all of these to be progressive. But traveling to Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji, I've learned that progress is about so much more than making a profit. Looked at holistically, progress is the health and happiness of a nation's people, the well-being of the environment, and protection of the planet as a whole, and then a successful economy. These three factors, people, planet, and profit, all affect one another and work in tandem to progress society. We cannot sustain life successfully on an unhealthy planet. Our health and economics depend on environmental resources in order to survive. If we continue measuring progress in terms of expanding land use, we'll deplete the very resources necessary to run businesses and sustain human life. Take, for example, the growing dairy industry in New Zealand. Its very existence depends on healthy, expansive lands in which to raise cattle, yet its operation, CO2 emissions, and fertilizer runoff threaten the land that it needs. Not to mention, dairy industries are outcompeting local, more sustainable sheep farms and the sheep industry as a whole. Having access to food, water, and shelter contributes more to people's happiness than making a profit and obtaining material goods. The people of the Soso village in Fiji are some of the happiest in the world, living in a country that's ranked number 1 in happiness, but number 151 in GDP. They are so satisfied with their lives, yet they own so much less than those of us living in first world countries. Our society's progress should not focus on making a living, but rather securing basic needs and then filling the rest of our lives with what matters to us and what we prefer to spend our time doing. Spending more time doing the things we love and honoring our values, like snorkeling, hiking, and maybe even paragliding, increases our overall happiness, health, and well-being. We can work toward a sustainable future by valuing the health and well-being of the planet more than the economy. Sustainable practices, such as installing solar panels and establishing national parks and marine protected areas, can all contribute to a healthier environment while continuing to sustain our way of living. Progress to me is caring for the environment in order to ensure that future generations will have access to the same resources we have now, while instilling intrinsic happiness among our people, and then using our economy to invest in sustainable practices that will increase the overall well-being of the world. Because when it comes down to it, this beautiful world is the only world we have.